a 9-member board. We're appointed by the City Council, and we serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. Our procedure for conducting business is that I will call the name of each petitioner. If you will, please come to the mic and the podium and speak, and please speak clearly and loudly. Anyone that's interested in that particular item or has an opposition to any part of that proposal, you're welcome to come forward and voice your opinions or concerns. Once we receive public testimony on a particular item, the members of the board will deliberate and we will render our decision. I remind the members that if you have a personal or a financial interest in any particular item, you're required to recuse yourselves from voting. Any testimony that's submitted by the petitioner or on behalf of the petitioner during the presentation of the item will be binding as to any decision the board makes relative to the motion. I'll remind any board member that if a motion to deny an item is made, you must provide a reason. This time I'll introduce the members of the board that we have here tonight. We normally have 9, I believe we have 7. Ms. K.T. Brown, Mr. Steve Hughes, Mr. Nathan Williams, Mr. Bo Holmes, Mr. Bart Prince, Mr. George Howell Jr., and I'm John Stanley, your chairman. Our staff here tonight is Mr. Tommy Tyson, Mr. James Center, Ms. Adina Kramer, and Ms. Tanya Ingram, our recording secretary. Any questions? It takes 5 votes to approve a motion. We have 7 here tonight. We have only 3 items on the agenda tonight, so we will start with item number 1, presented by Phil Bird. Mr. Bird here. Requesting a height variance and a front yard variance. Oh, excuse me. I'm getting in a hurry. We normally open our meeting with prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, so excuse me. Ms. Brown, will you open our meeting with prayer?
If we will bow our heads, please, giving thanks to the Almighty God, thanking Him for everything that happens in our lives, knowing that there is a reason for it happening, asking Him to accompany us back to our destination when we leave here, and asking that the decision that is made is a true decision based on the facts. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Please stand with me as we pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It's been a long day. All right. Item number 1 is presented by Phil Bird. Mr. Bird? Requesting a height variance and a front yard variance for a new privacy fence to be located at 3115 Overlook Drive in an R100 zoning district. Mr. Bird?
Good afternoon. I'm Phil Bird. I live at 3115 Overlook Drive. The house that was originally on that lot burned, and the lot stayed vacant for a number of years. I'm not sure exactly how many. The gentleman that had the house before me planted the hedge. I've maintained it for 13 years and cut it down from approximately 20 feet, just trees, to what it looks like now. I turned 70 this year, and it's getting very, very difficult for me to keep that hedge maintained. And that's what I do want to, whatever I do, I want it to look good for the neighborhood. So the last time, about 2 months ago, I did my trimming, and I was exhausted and stepped down off of a stand that I use because it's 10 feet wide. Most people don't know that. And I broke my foot. So I said to myself, that's the end of the hedge. I'm going to put a privacy fence up and just be done with it. Well, that started the process of me trying to get a work order, which led to where I am now. I have pictures that I took that would give you a better understanding of what we're talking about, but I wanted you to know before I did anything, I talked to all my neighbors. And after I talked to all my neighbors and everyone was on board with me, I had the lot surveyed so that I'd make sure that if I got to put a fence up, I'd have it on my property the first time. So if you want to look at some pictures or the boundary survey, I'd be happy to bring them up to you.
We have on our agenda
Okay.
an aerial, and it shows where the fence will be. Basically, I guess it's going to be on the property line, correct?
Yes, sir. on the
Because your
property.
hedge is outside the property line. The hedge.
Actually, the drawing is incorrect. It is on two sides, the left and the back, but the right side, the property line's on the outside of the hedge, and there's a fence in that all the way around now, a chain link fence. So it's on, the property line's on the outside of the hedge.
Okay. Okay. So on the areas where you have the yellow for the proposed fence, that is the property line.
No, sir, and I didn't draw that. I didn't make that drawing. The,
But no, when it's constructed, it's going to be on the property line.
it will.
That's what I meant.
On the property line.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Right. Because you're asking for a 35-foot variance.
Right.
Right. Okay. And a 3-foot height variance. Any questions, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
So be it.
Have a motion from Ms. Brown to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Howell seconds. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Be careful on those ladders.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is presented by Jorge Gonzalez Rubio. Mr. Rubio here?
No.
Mr. Rubio, not here. Okay? We will delay that till next meeting. Item number 3 is presented by Derek Robertson, requesting a special exception to keep chickens at 3409 Ridgefield Drive in an R85 single-family zoning district. Mr. Robertson?
Good afternoon. My name's Derek Robertson. My mother bought us chickens about 3.5 years ago, and the picture you have that was sent to me is actually, this picture is about 3 years old, because I don't have a pool on here, which an above ground pool, which I've had for about 3 years. And the coop is actually currently on there. It's just to the right of where that says coop. I'm asking to maintain the chickens I currently have. I've got 6 chickens. I've got no roosters. I do have pictures of the pen that we keep. It is at 10 feet off the back fence and maintains within the other areas, but it's a pretty good size coop. It's a 10 by 10 with a cover over it, as well as a chicken coop on the inside of that, where they can be maintained inside. So
Okay.
I've checked with the all but 2 neighbors, one who's here, one diagonal from me on the opposite side of the street. None of the others seem to have a problem. I just didn't know who had called in on it.
Okay. No roosters? No roosters?
No roosters.
Okay.
No.
All right. All right. Any questions, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item?
Good evening, board members. My name is Angela Starr, S-T-A-R-R. I reside at 3415 Ridgefield Drive, immediately from the street to the right of 3409 Ridgefield Drive. I have been disturbed by the number of chickens that are there. And I say disturbed because most of the time they're in my yard, whether it's the backyard or the front yard or just to the side. Literally the first time I was introduced to the chickens, they introduced themselves to me. Literally I was held hostage at my back door in my house.
How many chickens are there? You said the number.
I've seen 5, and I can't see, I mean, you can see the coop from the street, but I've seen 5 at one time in my yard that I've had to deal with. They either disrupt, you know, shrubbery or whatever, pavement, picked in. And there was, beside the noise, the odor and stuff, I'm immediately to the right. And when I say that there is a fine line, we share a chain link fence. That coop is 10 to 12 feet from my property. So they either walk in my yard or they fly in my yard, just have their way. If the board decides that they should be able to keep them, and again, they've had them for some time, put them in another direction. I mean, they come and go as they will. That coop is not secure. There's an open feeder out, so they just come out, and when they come out again, they roam. And I've had to clean up things in my yard. My mother was scared by them one time. She's an elderly person. That I shouldn't have to be subjected to that again. If you allow them to keep them, there's another side over there that has a fence on the other side. They have a boarded up fence over there. Go on that side of the yard. There's no need to come over where I am, where it is insecure and an inconvenience to me.
Are the chickens roaming his entire backyard?
As I can see.
As best you can
As
tell?
best I can see.
And you've seen 5, maybe 6 chickens?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But are they coming into your yard?
Yes.
Okay.
Frequently.
Okay.
And then they come and stand there and watch me like, we don't care that you're standing there watching us. We're gonna open your gate and come back there and get our chickens. That's blatant disrespect. And it's one thing if you do it as adults, but now you've passed it on to the next generation, which means their children stand there and look at me and come on my property to try to round up their chickens.
How's the odor?
Sir?
Is there an odor?
Oh, yes, yes. I mean, there was an odor in June, and I was like, okay, well, did they kill them? Because I hadn't even considered that, how they are killing the chickens. Are they killing them on the property? And I assume they must have killed one on the property because the odor was there for some time. I assume maybe it was put in the trash container. I'm not sure, but clearly something died over there, and it was horrible.
Okay. Any questions of her before I ask the petitioner to come back?
May I ask the question, are you saying that he's opening your gate to get his chicken without your permission?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of the opposition?
Mr. Prince had his hand up.
Does this happen frequently?
Yes, sir. And this is with me knowing. Sometimes I do come home during the day, just roaming the yard and whatnot. But if I'm at work, I don't know that. You know, I can tell they've been there because of what has been disrupted. But to actually see them, I don't see it all the time. I just know when they've been there. And again, sometimes I come home for lunch, you know, he or his wife, they just come over like I'm not there, and it's the blatant disrespect.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Robertson, would you like to, would you please address the claims that the opposition has made, and you got any suggestions?
We've had early on, yes, we did have issues with them when they were younger chickens, that they would hop the fence. We put up bamboo with fishing line to help stop that, and that did minimize it to a major thing. They're never out unless we're home, but they are chickens. They are like the other cats that are in the area that unfortunately will sometimes hop over. My goal is I don't want them in her yard. I don't want them anywhere but in our own. I would be willing to put up a fence, a wooden fence. I can't think what it's called now. Which would be a 6-foot fence, would keep them out of her yard. Odor, we've never killed chickens there. I mean, I haven't had a chicken die in probably 2 years. We had a couple others and they had just died because of whatever natural causes.
I have a question. Are the chickens roaming your entire backyard?
Only if we're there.
Can you contain them and put them in a small area and away from her? She mentioned the coop was what, maybe 10 feet from her property line?
The coop is about 25, it's more than 25 feet. You can see where it's pretty much centralized on our property. I could move it to the left side of the property though.
But then you may offend the other neighbor.
They have a high board fence on that side, and we have bamboo over there, which would restrict them from going over that way anyway.
Well, you tell us what you're going to offer, and then we'll decide if we are in agreement with that. And I'd like, ma'am, I'd like for you to be prepared to acknowledge your approval
Or disapproval.
or disapproval, whatever.
Like I said, I'd be happy to put up a fence, a taller fence, a 6-foot fence on the side between our houses, where the chain link fence currently is, which would maintain it. They cannot get up that high. As to the odor, we do maintain odor. I mean, we use odor control. We had something in our trash can. I don't know what it was, but even now I still got to clean that out. But it has never been dead animal or anything of that nature. In June is the hardest month for us. We are highly involved in scouts, and I am there very infrequently. So our grass gets tall, things get pushed back, but we do clean the coop every 10 days to 2 weeks. We take out all the bedding, put in fresh bedding to help maintain any odor control. That also keeps down insects and things of that nature. You know, obviously we want to maintain these chickens. We can do.
Is your coop movable?
Oh yeah.
You can move it?
Yes. We had to move it forward 2 feet when I read the guidelines for this. It was, we were actually at 8 feet off the back fence, so we moved it to the 10 feet requirement off the back fence.
Okay. So you're willing to put up a 6-foot high privacy fence down the property line separating you and her home,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Correct.
You're willing to move it over towards the other neighbor, what, another 15 feet?
Yes, sir, we can do that.
And are you willing to contain the chickens so they're not completely roaming your backyard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How much radius from the coop then?
I couldn't hear you.
How much a radius around the coop?
How much range?
The radius. I mean, you're going to put a fence around the coop, correct?
It's got a fence around the coop. It's a 10 by 10 fence around the actual coop.
All right.
It's got a 10 by 10 fence surrounding the coop.
Are
at
you
this
willing to
time.
leave them in that area and keep them from roaming your backyard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have a
If-
question.
Hold on a minute.
if he removes the flight feathers off these chickens' wings, or has a veterinarian do it, those chickens won't fly.
They're probably not flying. They're probably getting under the fence.
No, they're going.
Right.
They were going over, sir.
They're what?
They would fly up to the top. It's a
Would they?
4-foot fence.
You can remove the flight feathers, or have the wings clipped, and they won't be flying.
Okay.
That may solve the problem with getting in the neighbor's yard. The fence will do it too,
Yeah.
especially if you do
Well, I
both.
like the idea of a 6-foot fence, but I'd like to hear from the opposition. Are you okay with this?
Oh, why you won't recognize me?
I will. Go ahead.
Okay. What I wanted to know, does the neighborhood have a covenant or anything forbidding chicken or permitting chickens?
No.
They don't.
No. They're allowed per our the chicken guidelines.
Well, we've dealt
That's
with
why
some.
they're here.
We've dealt with some.
Well, we don't enforce covenants and restrictions that are in plats. We go by what the city tells us. Ma'am, what do you think about those suggestions?
As you've heard him say, they've had them for quite some time. And the improvements, if you can refer to them as improvements that have been made, they have been slow over the years. I don't believe that they were secure initially, and then something must have happened because they had to put some sort of cover over it or whatnot, and then that didn't suffice, and it had to be, something else had to happen, but they are not secure in there. When you have that many, and again, they're not home during the day, They come out because they come out to eat. And so the feeder that they had, that is about 20 feet from where this coop is supposed to be. They just come out, and when they come to that feeder, they go everywhere. And again, they fly, they come through, they walk, basically, they rule that place. They do. And so I'm not.
They are a nuisance to you, correct?
They are a nuisance to
Okay.
me. And again, it's one thing to say, and I don't know what the purpose of them is. I'm not here to find out the purpose of the chickens. But there are at least 5, maybe more. And that means that they are doing something more than just either keeping them as pets or something of that sort.
Okay.
Mr. Stanley?
So, we're going to vote on this here in a few minutes, and it could go either way. If he makes any of the suggestions that we've made tonight, would you consider being in agreement with him keeping the chickens or not? Say he builds a fence, he clips the wings, any other suggestions that we made. Would that affect how you feel about it? Is there anything that's going to change your mind, I guess? Because, like I said, when we vote, it could go either way. We could say yes, and then you're stuck with it the way it is, or we could say no. It's just kind of a chance you have to take. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's any middle ground here.
I don't know what the middle ground could be, Mr. Holmes, because again, at some point, Mr. Robertson learned that he would have to come before the Board of Adjustment. I don't know what steps he made to try to improve it. And as he mentioned to you, he reached out to nearly everyone on our block except me. And if he did not even, look, he doesn't want to ask me, look, Miss Starr, is it okay if we come over here and get the chickens out of your yard? We know it's been a nuisance for you. So he wouldn't come to me to ask me if I could give him my support before the Board of Adjustment.
Okay.
And if
that's
that
all.
was the case, then he would have already started doing something because he had to have anticipated that he could get my support, which is why he didn't come and ask me.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Brown?
And as she said in the beginning, as I wrote down, she says that they completely disrespect her as it pertains to the chicken and the securing of the chickens. They give her no respect whatsoever, and the chickens are out. They are in her yard. And she does see an odor that is existing and the noise that they are making and the other things that we are saying that these chickens are causing. And she doesn't understand the fact that what are they doing with the chickens to try to make an adjustment so that they can see what needs to be done. And if he hasn't done anything about the chickens, knowing how she felt in this length of time, expecting him to follow any regulations or anything of that sort.
All right, why don't you make a motion then?
I'm not
Wait,
ready.
I have a
No,
comment.
I'm not ready for a motion.
I have a
All right.
comment.
Steve, go ahead. Mr. Robertson's going to have the last say because he's a petitioner. Go ahead.
All right. We deal with chickens all the time. They're all over the city.
Yes, sir.
They're everywhere, okay? I haven't heard many like this one where there is no care taken about keeping the chickens orderly. Most people do. And so it seems to me like there's an easy way of keeping these chickens orderly so that they don't bother you. They don't come in your yard. The other chickens in other parts of the city stay in the coop or they stay in the yard, and people keep the coops clean and there's not an odor issue. So I don't know the best way to do this, but there is a way to either get rid of these chickens or keep these chickens orderly and in the coop and in the yard so that it would not bother you. I don't know how to do that, but I think there is a way. But it's not happening.
I agree with you, Steve. Mr. Robertson, we hear probably one of these every meeting, and normally they're approved because there's no opposition. There's not a problem. But you are an exception, you know. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I'd like to know if we approve this and he don't honor what we're talking about now, do she have the opportunity to come
Yes,
back?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can withdraw our motion if he's not complying with our requirements.
And in what time frame would that be, Mr. Stanley?
Well, at a reasonable time frame, you know, 6 months, a year, or something like that, you know.
Okay. With all due
But,
respect,
you know,
that would not be reasonable to me.
what you'd have to do is you'd have to file for an abatement for us to reconsider it. Okay? We're gonna close this in about 2 minutes. Ms. Brown, go ahead.
What I don't understand is why we are reaching so high and so far out trying to get this approved when we haven't done this before. We've dealt with the facts, and the facts of this situation has been presented by both parties. And I see us making a decision based on those facts that have been presented.
We're considering all the facts. Mr. Robert, ma'am, if you got something different to say, you'll have to come up. Ma'am, you'll have to come up. We're gonna wrap this up. You got just a brief moment. Please say something if it's different.
My name is Jeanette Hutto. I live directly across the street.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
retired. My kitchen window is facing the street. I see both of their homes. I know when they're home. I know when they pull out. I see chickens almost never. Almost never. I can't remember seeing chickens this year. I'm in my kitchen a lot. I do a lot of yard work out in front. My neighbors know me because I'm out in front working in my yard. Those chickens are not out there. I don't see them. I don't hear them. You would not know there's a chicken there. And I work in the street right there. I have never smelled them. I've been to their house, dropping some stuff off and stuff. The chickens are not loose. I've never been attacked by a chicken. Our neighbors have never seen the chickens. Our next door neighbors can't be here tonight. They would have come. It's just, I don't know. And I know Angela comes home. She keeps a beautiful yard. And I'm sure that, you know, whatever her issues are, that if they put a 6-foot fence up, those chickens wouldn't be bothering her at all. Those chickens were a gift from their grandmother to the children. The grandmother died on Sunday. So those chickens are more than just chickens. They are the last living thing that their grandmother gave it. It means something. So he's not going to say that, but I am.
Okay, thank you.
So
ma'am.
maybe if they could work together on something, it would be a little bit more beneficial than going, no, the chickens have to go, and not to hurt Angela's feelings, because she's a lovely lady, just to make sure that she's happy that they're contained in a yard, because they might fly over into her yard sometime. I just have not seen those chickens out, out anywhere, anywhere.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Ms. Hutto.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Robertson, you want to close this up?
Before he closes it
Hold
up.
on.
Before he closes it up, she says that she hasn't seen any chickens, but he has not denied the fact that the chickens were in her yard and that the chickens are out there loose. I haven't heard that denial.
Well,
I had
Mr.
said
Robertson, why don't you
in the
address
past
that?
that we had had issues with them hopping the fence.
Say that again.
I said, in the past, we had had issues with them hopping the fence when they were younger chickens. They're 3 years old now. They don't do a lot of hopping.
But they do
but they,
some hopping, right?
I'm sorry?
They do some hopping. They do hop sometime.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're willing to do what we have to do to try and keep the chickens. That's the point I want to make is, to me, I think a high fence that would maintain them within our yard. They wouldn't be visible to her, and that would hopefully eliminate whatever issues that we may have.
Mr. Chairman.
Is that all you willing to say? Are you willing to offer anything else other than what we've talked about?
We could also clip the flight wings if that's necessary, or
Okay.
whatever.
Okay.
We're willing to do whatever the board would do.
All right, Mr. Prince, one more question, we're going to close it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chairman, sounds like these two neighbors are in compliance with fixing this situation. And he said that he could move the coop and build a fence. So if the neighbor is satisfied with that, then that would clear up, that would take care of both of the issues. So all I'm saying is, why don't we ask him, because he says he'll build a fence, the 6-foot fence, he'll move his coop, and if that will take care of this issue, then why don't we do that and it'll all be taken care of?
Are you suggesting let them work it out and then we'll come back?
No.
Or we make a motion
we
to
make
approve it?
He's already said he's
Okay.
willing to do that.
Okay.
And give a time so it won't be no year.
Okay.
6 months or anything.
All right, got it. Mr. Holmes, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the use of chickens. However, I'd like to limit that number of chickens to 4, require him to build a 6-foot fence, move the coop to the opposite side of his yard,
Amen.
and within a 3-month period, if he has not done that, then they can come back and file for an abatement.
Okay. Have a second?
Does he agree with that?
Well, he don't have to agree to it. That's the motion. You want to make it, you second it?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All opposed? Okay. You understand the motion?
Sir? Yes, sir.
You really have 3 months to be in compliance with the terms of this motion.
Is that fine with you too, ma'am?
Well, we're not asking for permission. We've given our opinion, okay? And you have to comply. Otherwise, ma'am, you can come back to the board, to Tanya, and file an abatement, and we'll rehear it.
And I'd recommend that you do that, make these changes prior to 3 months to try and get along with your
Yeah.
neighbors.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Thanks.
Mr.
Ma'am-
Robertson?
Ma'am, at any time after 3 months, though, you don't have to wait. I mean, if he's not in compliance at any time in the future, you can come back and file for an abatement of the nuisance. Okay?
Mr. Robertson?
Yes.
Be sure to secure a permit for the fence before you put it up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea. All right, I believe item number 2 came in. Are y'all here? Let's see.
Rubio?
No, they walked in late. Are you Mr. Rubio? Item number 2 is presented by Jorge Rubio, requesting a special exception to place a mobile home for living purposes on a parcel located approximately 750 feet east of Lamar Road, approximately 950 feet southeast of Steel Lane in an Ag 1 district, Ag 1 in our 75S district. Mr. Rubio?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got a mobile home there? Is it already in place? Or are you asking for permission?
Yeah, I'm looking for permission.
Okay, it's not there now.
No, no.
Okay. Are you gonna use it for rental purposes, or are you gonna live in it?
I want to leave in.
You're gonna live in it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And our diagram here shows it sitting back from the road. Behind this, is that a lake or a pond?
Yeah, it's a pound, yeah, small
Okay.
pound.
All right. Any questions, board members?
Only thing I can say, everything looked like it was in order when I go
Okay.
look at it.
All right. Is anyone in the audience care to address this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So be it.
Motion approved. Second? Second. Who's second? George? Mr. Howell? All in favor? Say aye. Raise your hand. It's unanimous.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rubio.
Okay, thank
Good
you.
luck to you. Have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Have a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All in favor, adjourn the meeting, say aye.